Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. My name is Jim. I'm joined by Jake and Josh, and we are going to go through scouting reports on 6 players today. But before we get started, Jake, how you doing? Tell everybody about yourself.
Hey, super excited to be here. We're going to have fun on a bun for sure. We're talking some linebackers and running backs. This is the earliest my draft prep has ever started. I've been kind of doing this a little bit on the off season for 3 or 4 seasons now. And 2 years ago, it started after the Super Bowl. Last year, it started after the national championship. And here we are in the middle of the season, and we're rocking and rolling. So I'm super excited. We got some great prospects to talk about today. But you can follow me at Glory Day Sports on all social media. You can check me out live Thursday mornings on the Morning Glory Show with my co-host B. Will and Jonathan Miller, talking all things Titans and draft. But yeah, super excited to be here.
Yeah, no,
Josh, how about you?
Awesome opportunity to be here and talk about some of these prospects for you guys. We're going over running backs and linebackers today. We'll be going over these guys every Monday at 9:15 on this podcast. Yeah, just super excited. It's going to be a really deep running back class this year. A lot of traitsy players at linebacker this year. It's going to be really interesting to see how everything shakes out.
Yep. So one of the reasons we paired running backs and linebackers together, if people did not know, is that every year there are, on average, 25 running backs drafted and 25 linebackers drafted, right? So we're going to be covering on this podcast for the next several weeks, we're going to be covering an equal number of both positions. That's how they get paired together. In addition to that, sometimes you're watching a running back and a linebacker pops, or you're watching a linebacker and you want to know who is that running back. So there's also some film identification with it. So with that, let's start with our first linebacker, Smael Mondon from Georgia. So Josh, tell me what you think about Mr. Smael Mondon.
So going over Smael, senior linebacker for Georgia, height listed at 6'3" and 1/10 inch at 235 pounds with an unofficial 4.46 40 speed time, which is in the 97th percentile when talking about linebackers in this draft class compared to the rest of the NFL. 5-star prospect coming out, quickly emerged as a freshman, getting significant playing time. In 2023, he earned second-team All-SEC honors, racking up 68 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks in 13 games. He shows good athletic ability with good height and adequate weight with room to fill out his frame at the next level. He demonstrates very good speed and very good burst with good change of direction skills. In the run game, Mondon demonstrates good movement skills to mirror running backs out of the backfield. Showcases sideline to sideline range and a good motor to stay on plays backside of him. Solid secure tackler, uses good fundamentals to take on runners head on and hold ground at a smaller weight. Good tackler on the run that shows good pursuit and takes good angles on runs outside on the perimeter. Shows good IQ and instincts pre-snap and post-snap for his run fits. He will need to improve his strength at the next level to improve his stacking shed on oncoming blockers at the next level. But in the pass game, he demonstrates really good man and zone coverage skills. Zone coverage is where he shines at. Man coverage has improved drastically from where his tape was his sophomore and junior year, using speed and change of direction to fluently mirror tight ends and running backs out of their breaks. Solid zone cover backer, good awareness and mental processing, understanding passing concepts and his assignment in zone. He can be an effective free rusher on blitzes, using his speed and burst to get out into the backfield quickly, but due to his adequate weight, he can get knocked off the rush easily with adequate strength and has a limited pass rush plan when he's in pursuit. Limited ball production in PBU and INTs, but his IQ and athletic ability make him more than a capable cover linebacker and will excel as a QB spy at the next level. Overall, for me, Mondon has speed, IQ, and improved cover ability to be an effective cover back at the next level with a solid run support package. He has had a lingering foot injury from 2023, a broken foot that's lingered on to this year that's caused him to miss some time this year. Will be something to monitor while we're going through the draft process. We'll need to improve his functional play strength at the next level, but he's a secure tackler in the open field. He projects to me as a rotational will linebacker in a 4-3 defense, inside linebacker in a 3-4 defense with a potential as a 3-down linebacker right now, I have a 3rd-round grade set on Smael Mondon.
Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Josh put it really well. I think this is a future will backer at the next level. I think he is going to take some time to develop, and he's a little light in the pants at 6'3", 236. I mean, that's prototypical size, but the strength just hasn't translated yet. And I'm comparing him to a prospect last season. It's going to be a guy like a Cedric Gray out of North Carolina that was very similar size and has that athletic ability, and he's a leader at this Georgia defense. So, I mean, he's started there for 3 seasons now. So you got the upside of that, and he can develop into a 3-down backer for you. But he has to get stronger. He has to improve his technique with getting off those blocks. Once those guards or those tackles engage with him, he just shuts down and he can get moved off his spot. But this is a guy that if you can get him in a J3 pick, you can kind of put him back there. And he has special teams upside for sure, too. This is a guy that can come in right off the bat and contribute and be a part of that 53-man roster for you from the get-go. But like Josh said, this is a guy that has so much upside for you. And I think at the end of the day, he will develop into a starter in the league.
Cool. And did you say day 3 or round 3? Just out of curiosity.
Day three. So I'm probably looking at him, and I haven't developed my full draft board yet, but I'm thinking probably that round 5, round 6 area is kind of where I see him probably falling.
Okay. So that's one of the reasons that we do this, right? Because there's a little bit of difference in how the two of you graded them, and absolutely love that. So I'm not going to have us compare the linebackers yet because we haven't covered the other two. So let's go to Mr. Tyreem Powell.
So Tyreem Powell. Oh, you can go first. Go right ahead. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, Tyreem Powell is a very intriguing linebacker prospect. And this can go a multitude of ways because, I mean, 6'5", 252, you see it on the screen. That is great size, and that's something this linebacker class doesn't have a lot of. You're not going to find guys out there with the wingspan that can come in and be that traditional Mike backer for you, but he can run down the seam with the tight end with that size. So he's got a lot of intangibles as well as the athletic upside that you're looking for. And I think it was you, Jim, that retweeted one of his highlights from earlier in the season where he shoots the gap, smacks the running back in the hole for a 2-yard loss or so. Very similar to the Javian Clowney hit from back in the day. This one got flagged, unfortunately, but that's what you're getting with this guy. And I mean, going back to comps, I think this is a guy that reminds me a lot of like a Zaven Collins coming out of Tulsa. I mean, this is a guy that I don't think will get that first round hype like Zaven did. And Powell has gotten a lot to grow, but he can stack a defender. He can peek off to the side and find the ball. There is just certain points in time where he kind of, I don't know, is something where he just loses it for a second. He can't find the football. I saw lots of false steps in his game where he would be backpedaling off when the running was coming right at him. And he doesn't have the ability to really get skinny in the hole like you'd like to see, where he can make that forced stop. And he's going to struggle with the, I think, larger running backs in the league just because of how tall he runs with that frame. The change of direction's kind of up in the air at this point in time, too. I think maybe I haven't seen it yet. I've only got 2 games deep into him. But as of right now, I think he might struggle a little bit with that at the next level, especially with his eyes not being where they need to be from the get-go. But again, this is potentially a day 3 pick, and you're getting the upside of maybe a first-round talent at the end of the day. So this could be a bargain for you if you're willing to take that chance on him.
What do you think, Josh?
Absolutely. Hit it right on the head. He's a freakish athlete. 6'4", 6'5", whatever you want to measure him at. We'll see at the combine what he comes in as. 252 with pretty good athletic ability for a guy his size, solid speed, good burst, likes to attack downhill quickly. He's a downhill run stuffer, good pursuit, hits the ground good on run fits, good play strength, good burst, solid play recognition to thrive in the short area, third and short areas, filling in the A and B gap. He's a solid mental processor too. He can stack well. He will need to develop quicker recognition to shed earlier in the play to make runs better. Sometimes he'll get stuck on a blocker 5 yards upfield and won't be able to disengage and make a play on the running back running right beside him. But checks off the length, build, and strength categories. Be a good productive tackler at the next level, solid pursuit, good hip power. He does play at a higher pad level for someone so tall, so lengthy as he is. So powerful running backs will be able to get into his chest and really not dismantle him from the tackle, which is weird to say for someone as big and as powerful as Tyreem Powell. In the passing game, he provides value as a zone coverage linebacker and a blitzing linebacker. When quarterbacks are throwing into the zone coverage into the middle of the field, his length and his height really just messes up the window and timing for those intermediate routes to come through over the middle of the field. He could run downfield with defenders like the tight ends running down seam routes with solid speed. He's adequate in man coverage with adequate change of direction skills. Sometimes struggles to stay on his assignment in coverage. He has solid use of hands in pass rush areas, will use his size, power, and length to become a solid blitzer at the next level. But like Jake said, overall, he projects as a developmental linebacker, will immediately bring special teams value on kick and punt coverage due to his size, length profile, along with good pursuit and tackling. He will need to improve his consistency in the stack and shed, along with his knee bend and change of direction. Right now, I have a day 3 grade on him, but if a defensive coordinator sees Tyreem Powell sitting there in the 5th round, he's gonna be banging on the table for the GM to take him. I promise you that.
Yeah. So that was a great job. A couple things I want to point out. Like, I love the fact that with the 2 linebackers we've talked so far, you're saying special teams, because that's one of the reasons so many linebackers get drafted on day 3 is you need to fill out your special teams with low salaried linebackers.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay.
Could you imagine how good this Rutgers linebacker core would have been this season, though, if they would have brought in Tyreem Powell right next to Mohamed Tour, who ended up selling his ACL? And I'm sure we'll talk about him weeks down the road. But this Rutgers team could have been so good at the linebacker in that second level. It would have been so good to watch this season.
Oh, yeah.
I think like the second or the third week of the college football season, when I was updating my board, I had to add like 5 Rutgers defenders.
Powell was right up there at the top too.
Yeah. With Powell, and then there was another linebacker, at least one safety, and I believe a couple of down linemen too. So definitely a good defense there over at Rutgers from a draft perspective.
Yep.
Okay, the last linebacker of the episode, Mr. Harold Perkins. So, Josh, what do you want to tell us about Mr. Perkins?
When you're talking about valuing a prospect, especially at the linebacker position, it's as tricky as an evaluation on Harold Perkins as it will be on any linebacker that you got coming out. Obviously, 5-star coming out, football and basketball player in high school. He was a first-team All-SEC player as a freshman and continued his production into his sophomore and junior year. Initially on the edge, but moved back to outside off-the-ball linebacker due to his size profile, but is clocked in at an unofficial 4.45 40 speed with it, which is 97th percentile when we're stacking it up with the rest of the NFL. He shows very good athletic ability for an undersized edge defender, but really projects as a linebacker at the next level. He's very good. Shows very good speed downhill and moving laterally, sideline to sideline range, can chase down runs backside efficiently. He's a high motor athlete that provides good pursuit and hip power at a smaller frame. Solid tackler with a knack of creating turnovers. He has 7 forced fumbles in his career. He has the speed and agility to shoot through the gaps quickly. He's still new as an off-ball linebacker. He shows adequate mental processing, understanding his run fits post-snap. You can see him over pursue and shooting the wrong gaps at times, which will improve with time and reps, obviously. Demonstrates solid strength overall, but his length is adequate, causing missed tackle opportunities with runners outside of his frame, limiting and limitations setting the edge when they line him up as an edge defender. And there's a lot of promise in the pass game as well. He shows elite versatility at the next level, a real chess piece for a defensive coordinator. Uses speed and agility off the edge to beat slower-footed tackles around the corner, along with an explosive first step. Perkins shows some pass rush intelligence as well, with solid speed to power and a use of inside counters frequently. In limited reps, Perkins has shown the promise to execute zone coverage assignments, demonstrating solid awareness to play the ball using very good change of direction skills and good ball instincts. He has the athletic ability to develop into a solid or better man coverage linebacker, but still raw in that aspect of his game. He's still learning how to adjust as an off-ball linebacker, as this is his first year really playing there consistently before he tore his ACL. He'll be an elite QB spy at the next level, can chase down mobile quarterbacks with sideline-to-sideline range. If you watch the tape, LSU versus Alabama, they had Harold Perkins almost spying him half the time if he wasn't on the edge, and really shut down the mobility of Jalen Milroe. Adequate length will lead to occasional forced missed tackles in the open field. But overall, he's an undersized edge defender that shows very good burst, speed, and nuance off the edge. Size and strength forced him as an off-ball linebacker, but shows the athletic ability to adjust in pass coverage and in the run game. Length and mental processing are his weaknesses, as his smaller length leads him to miss many tackles, along with not having enough mental processing to understand his assignments consistently down the down. For me, he projects as a starting weak side linebacker / slot defender / edge defender / wherever the hell the defensive coordinator wants to put him on the field. Right now, with all the tools and traits that he has in the bag, I have him as a second round grade, but that's depending where you want to grade him. If you want to grade him as an undersized edge rusher or off-ball linebacker, it really is a tricky evaluation, especially coming off that torn ACL. But when you're talking about athletic ability, Harold Perkins checks all the boxes.
So out of the three linebackers right now that we've covered, you would have Perkins as the highest of the three that we've covered today?
Correct.
Jake, you as well?
I would 100% agree. I think Harold Perkins has the potential to be ILB1 in this draft. It's going to come down to him and a handful of other ones, but Perkins is right up there with them just because of the versatility that he brings to the table. I think Josh put it very well. If he was a chess piece, he's the queen on the board because he can stretch you vertically, horizontally. He can do it all. So it really comes down to how those DCs or head coaches view him as a prospect. I gave two other comps, and this is just one that I'm thinking of right now. And I think Harold Perkins could be that potential Jamal Adams-ish chess piece. Safety talk, but did lead the NFL for the safety position as sack since I believe 2021 or so. So this is a guy that can blitz off the edge. It's very rare that you get to see a guy that's an actual Sam backer. He can play on the line on that strong side, but he can also kick into the box. He can also cover the flat from an overhang position. But he gets me all hot and bothered when I'm talking linebackers. This guy, I'm loving his tape thus far, just because he is all over the field and he can flow sideline to sideline. He's a pretty clean tackler. The size is very concerning. 6'1", 225, like you see on the that. And I would go out on a limb and say he's probably lighter than 225. I'm thinking 215, maybe even lighter. So this is a guy that if you put him in the correct positions, he could be an all-star. He could be an all-pro. He could be a pro baller. But if you don't, if you just stick him at will and say, hey, do what you're going to do, he's going to be okay, but you're not going to get your bang for your buck. So it's really going to come down to where he goes at the next level. But this dude could be a star. We could be talking about him on Sundays for a long time to come.
So you bring up a good point, because when I watch LSU play, LSU, when Perkins was healthy, was moving him all over the defense. How many NFL defensive coordinators are going to do that with him? Right? Because if, like you said, if you're lining up and you're putting them in a spot, you may be losing the effectiveness of the player, right? He might be better if you can do, I like the Jamal Adams comp, actually. That was pretty good because Jamal Adams was a player that moved all over the defensive formation, sometimes slot, sometimes linebacker, sometimes safety, right? That's the kind of chess piece that you need to be when you're using Harold Perkins. So I thought that was a pretty good comp there, Jake. So
I think he's going to, as we come closer to April, he's going to be flying up boards. And I think it's a good time to pause. If you guys are checking us out on YouTube or Twitter, hit that retweet button. Make sure you subscribe to the NFL Draft Fanatics page over on YouTube. We definitely appreciate it. This is the week 1 of covering this, and Jim does a great job putting out draft content every single day. All you got to do is hit that button, and it definitely pays off in the long run. And then you can check us out on a weekly basis coming forward, because we got a lot of running backs and linebackers to cover as we progress, and check out all the other content as well.
Yes, and we have a lot of people watching. So, Jake, thank you for the pause and the station identification. That is much appreciated. And remember, for as long as the podcast is live on YouTube, there will be 0 political ads. Added bonus.
One more day, boys. We're almost there.
We're almost there. Okay, we are going to do our next player, and we are switching positions. So now we are going to do running backs. We're going to do Quavious, Woody Marks. You'll either hear him called Quavious or you'll hear him called Woody Marks. But get used to both of the names depending upon who you're talking to. But Jake, what can you tell us about Mr. Marks?
Yeah, we'll go with Woody to keep it simple, but Mr. Marks out of USC is a very intriguing running back, and we're getting sexy now. We're talking running backs. We're talking fantasy football. This is what people are tuning in for right here. So Quavious is an interesting prospect just because of his build. He does knife through gaps, and under this Lincoln Riley scheme, he follows his blocks on these counters of these GTs that Lincoln likes to do. But he also offers a decent amount in the receiving game. He's got some wiggle there. What does concern me is he in pass pro looks a little lost at times. And at that size, I don't know if this is a 3-down running back at the next level. But with running back by committee and rotation being the big up and coming these last half decade or so, this guy fills into that role for you. And I think he can develop. I think this is, again, another day 3 prospect. I think if you get this guy in round 5 or round 6, I mean, you're golden because he has special teams ability as well. He could probably contribute quite a bit as a returner. And I think this is a guy that you can kind of plug and play even in year 1 and trust him as a running back. I think at the end of the day, the most important attribute you're looking for as a running back is, can he run the fucking football? And I think Woody Marks can, and he does it pretty dang well. So yeah, I think Woody Marks could be a good running back at the next level. I think this is a very intriguing and upper end running back class. Just from what I've watched very recently, I think this is going to be one of the better years we've had in the last decade or so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And we can talk more about the quality of the running back class. We are getting a lot of viewers. So thank you to everybody that has joined, even since Jake gave the last commercial. Please like, follow, and subscribe. And Josh, tell us about Mr. Marks.
So Woody Marks was high for me on my board last year, with him being at Mississippi State, transferring to USC this year. Brings a good combination of speed, vision, and change of direction. He shows good patience behind the line of scrimmage and uses his good burst to attack the second level really quickly. He has an effective jump cut that he uses almost every time he's in the open field to elude defenders while maintaining his balance and speed while using that jump cut. Marks works best in a zone scheme for me, where he attacks the open field with his speed and vision. He shows good toughness on his runs. His size and strength will limit his ability to break tackles at the next level, so he won't be your go-to yards after contact back. But get this guy in the open field, he's going to make a defender miss once or twice. In the passing game, he's very good when it comes to the receiving game. He's excellent on choice routes. He uses his change of direction to attack leverage in space as a smaller running back. Versatility to work in the backfield and as a slot receiver. He has soft hands, can adjust the balls thrown away from his body. He uses good change of direction and elusiveness in the open field. good option in the screen game and as a dump down option. He is a willing blocker, even though you're not going to ask him at the next level to stick there on third downs and pick up the A gap blitzing linebacker. But he does have tape dating back to Mississippi State showing that he has good fundamentals and he can anchor down when needed to. Overall, for me, he brings a combination of speed, patience, change of direction. He'll be most effective on passing downs and third down, showcasing good hands and route running ability. Size and strength are adequate, and he will limit his ability to work after contact in the next level. For me as well, I have a day 3 grade on him around the 4th to 5th round range. But again, this running back class is extremely deep. So you're going to see a lot of high graded guys go a round or two below probably what they're graded just because of the depth of this class.
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Mark's, and being a Bills fan, I am not going to say this lightly, but I saw Thurman Thomas setting up blocks. So I'm not saying he's Thurman, but one of the things that Thurman Thomas never got a lot of credit for was how he set up his blocks. So if you watch Thurman Thomas highlights, like watch him on a screen pass or like when he's running off tackle, the patience that the two of you described, it reminded me of Thurman. I think I'm a little bit older than both of you. I've seen Thurman play in person, but it gave me a little bit of that when I've watched him play live. So I'm like, Marks is one of my guys. I'm hoping, like, again, day 3, midday 3, round 5, 6. If Brandon Beane turns in that card, I would be really happy with him as running back 3 in Buffalo. So, like, he's one of my guys. So
who do you like more as of right now at this point in the draft? Ray Davis or Woody?
Ooh.
I want Ray Davis. Prospect? Oh, that's not it's and
okay. But just wanted to clarify.
But like I'm higher on Davis than I am on Cook, even though Cook is obviously the starter.
Yeah,
I like being able to run between the tackles. So, like, if there's a Thunder that would be Davis to the Lightning that would be Marks. Like, Cook is about to enter the last year of his contract in Buffalo. Yeah. Okay, I'm a believer of you don't extend a running back unless his name is Derrick Henry.
Or Saquon Barkley.
The list of running backs.
As a Titans fan, you can't say that. It hurts my heart.
I have seen what Henry did to Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
I saw one of those games in person in Nashville. So, yeah. Okay, we just hit 100 viewers, guys.
Hey, we appreciate you guys.
Drop
some questions in the chat. Let's start some conversation here.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have questions on either any of these guys or other running backs, drop them into the chat. But Josh, why don't you tell us about Devin Neal out of Kansas?
So going through this process this week, I've already had around 12 running backs graded. Devin Neal was not one of them. And watching his tape this week really impressed me. First off, let's just talk about special teams value. He would be a plus returner at the next level right away. So instant value right there. He shows good athletic ability with good speed and burst. He excels in the open field, demonstrating very good agility, elusiveness, and change of direction. He's a fluent mover on the field, really glides when he's running the ball. He has solid strength. He has room to add mass to his frame, but doesn't really need to in his running style. He's a dynamic playmaker, like I said, solid vision on gap schemes, but thrives under the zone scheme attack, showing good vision and anticipation in the open field. Very elusive, very good change of direction skills and agility. A lot of juke moves, spin moves to evade linebackers before the sticks. Glides in the open field, above average to average speed. He's not going to be a guy to hit the home run field, but he has around 4.5 speed. So he's a pretty good speed for a running back. Can take on arm tackles and still maintain momentum for a couple extra yards. So a solid yard after contact back. He's not looking to win with power, but he has the ability to do it, and he maintains good ball security throughout his runs. And the most exciting thing for me with Devin Neal was his ability in the pass game. Mostly used on checkdowns and a screen option, but for me, he shows the fluent movement skills to excel running routes out of the backfield, whether it's choice routes, option routes. He has good hands, can adjust to different types of passes. And again, he's dangerous in the open field. If you give him a lane, he's going to make a couple defenders miss every time. Shows good mental processing, maintaining priority of ball security. Height and size limit his effectiveness as a pass protector, but he shows a willingness and has good arm length and mental processing to stay in phase with his assignment. Neal, for me, is a well-rounded back that fits best in a zone scheme that showcases his vision in the second level, agility, and change of direction skills. Provides value as a reliable pass catcher and a willingness to execute pass protection with good mental processing. He could add functional play strength at the next level to improve his yard after contact, but he brings a good combination of speed, elusiveness, and pass catching. To me, he projects as a complementary back to start off in the NFL that develops into a 3-down back if need be. Right now, I have a second day 2 grade, 3rd round grade on him.
Nice. Jake, what do you think of Devin Neal?
I have fell in love with Devin Neal this week. I will say that I like to write down little comps as I go through these draft evaluations just to get an idea. For Devin, I wrote the greased up man for Family Guy just because he's so slippery. The second one I wrote is he's a boxer throwing a jab. He does a lot in the open field, jigging and jiving, but he does just enough. He doesn't overdo it. So I think Devin Neal is surprising a lot of people in the draft community, and I think this is a guy that's going to move up. And like Josh said, I could see him moving into the day 2. I would be fine with him there. I think probably about round 4 is where I'd like to see him, though. The one knock I really saw on him is he never really opens it up. You never see that speed. I think he has it. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
And there's guys, like we talked about, Derrick Henry. There's guys that don't look like they're running fast, but he's running 22 miles per hour. I think Devin Neal doesn't look like he's running fast, but he's also not running fast. So I think it's kind of interesting with that. But I think he is a very patient and creative runner. Pass pro, I think he can improve. Like Josh said, I think this is a guy, day 1 special teams. Get him out there. I don't care what he's doing out there. Have him out there because he is a gamer. At 5'11", 215, he has good size. I don't see that size on tape, though. He's got to add more from a power aspect. But at the same time, I think this is a guy that could probably contribute from year 1, but not have to worry about taking those huge hits like some of these other guys. So this might be a guy that maybe you don't pay him in that second contract, but I'd be okay doing it because I think he's going to be healthy for 6+ years at the next level and contribute. So I'm super excited for him. I think as I continually watch this guy, I just fall more and more in love with him. He's got some funk to his take for sure.
So he definitely needs some PR because if you watch other people's top 10 running backs episodes or whatever, he doesn't get a lot of mention. And one of the things we do on this channel is we are covering every reasonable player in the top 175, right? And Neal is definitely a top 175 player. The question is he closer to, let's say, player 80 or player 120? But I think that's about where he's going to fall, is like right there somewhere in late round 3 to round 5. So there's a reason that we're covering him. I thought if he came out last year, I had him just outside the top 100. So I'm definitely excited to see him play through the end of the year. And that's going to take us to our last player. So who's going to kick this one off?
I'll go ahead and start this one because Omarion Hampton at North Carolina is that dude. This dude is a Clydesdale out here. Woody Marks, Devin Neal, they're like throwing razor blades at you. They're going to hit you. They're going to cut you up. They're going to nick you up. Omarion Hampton is bowling balls in a freaking trebuchet. He's coming downhill fast at you. He wants to hit you in the face. And sometimes it might be a little bit too much. There's times where he's welcoming contact when he doesn't necessarily need to, but you love to see it in the highlight tapes for sure. So Omarion Hampton, built like a Greek god, 6 foot, 220, has, I would say, plus vision. There's times where he runs into his blockers, but it's not something concerning for me. Natural hands catcher, which is very surprising to me. I don't think he has the route running chops. He's not a savant out there, but he does just enough for you. Very reminiscent to like Jonathan Taylor, DeMarco Murray, to where they're not going to cut you up with it, but they're going to be able to take a screen. They're going to be able to take a flat, and they're going to be able to break a tackle and turn that into a 70-yard gain. So I really like that. Has the speed, has the power, gets downhill fast. I think he has scheme versatility. He can play in a gap. He can play in zone. Pat's pro. He, again, welcoming contact. He's going to lay the boom on the linebacker. He's had a couple reps where he sneaks out to the edge and just throws a shoulder at the edge and just decleats a guy. I'm super excited about Omarion Hampton. I think if there wasn't the belle of the ball in this draft, and Ashton Jitty, he would be RB1 in my books. So he's gonna get first round probably talk. I think he'll ultimately land in round 2, but this is a guy that has day one chops for sure. Obviously, going from Drake May to Criswell, you figured he would have some drop off from that, and he has slightly, but I mean he's still over 1,000 yards already. Just came off a 5-touchdown game last week, to where he just dismantled the defense. He is this offense for this team, so. He can force missed tackles. He can do it all at the running back position. I talked about it earlier. What's the most important thing the running back can do is run the ball. He can run the fucking ball.
And one thing really interesting this year, talking about Drake May moving on to NC's quarterback now, the defenses they're going up against, they're stacking the box on Omarion Hampton every time they're playing him too. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Hampton can beat you in multiple ways. And for me, I thought he was very good at understanding the blocking scheme pre-snap in both gap and zones. Yes, he can miss the hole at times, but he really does understand the flow of his blocks and when to hit the hole, showing patience and vision. Strong running back, easily breaks through arm tackles, bounces off of secondary defenders with ease when they go high on him. He shows good short area quickness and bursts off his plant foot to quickly get to top speed and rocket to the second level. And he does have that home run hitting ability once he gets into the open field. He excels after contact, which is really his calling card, able to drag defenders with his strong lower half, making him an effective red zone back. He uses his vision and mental processing to create for himself in the second level, bouncing runs to the outside, outrunning bad pursuit angles. He can also get skinny through small areas to run through. So on third and short situations, he'll be able to find the small narrow crease in the A or B gap and plow for the first down. And in the passing game, not only is he a willing blocker, but a quick processor to pick up blitzing linebackers. And at that size and weight, he can anchor down on a couple people. When I was going through looking up Omarion Hampton, not just watching his tape, Jim Nagy said that Omarion Hampton's pass protection tape compared to the rest of these running backs is like night and day. It is really astonishing. At times you will see him lunge at the block, but that can be coached out of him at the next level. Like you said, he's an effective check down back. He uses good vision and burst to turn small gains into chunk plays. He does have soft hands. He can adjust the balls outside of his frame. He's not really a diverse route runner, but you don't need him to be for what you're asking him to do at the next level. And for me, he's a scheme versatile back that can beat you with power, speed, and vision. His lower body strength and thumper mentality makes him a hard tackle behind the line of scrimmage and in the open field. For me, he projects as a workhorse back that can take 20-plus carries a game if need be and provides value as a pass protector as well. Like you said, if there wasn't a thing called Ashton Jitty in this draft, he would be talked about as an RB1 in that group with a couple other people. But I have a round 2 grade on him with round 1 talent.
Awesome. So if you had to think of like an offensive coordinator that could use a player like Hampton, either because of a running back they had before or because they're, let's say, picking in the top 10 of round 2, who do you think he would go to?
Who he would go to, and I think who he'd be a great fit for.
Well, okay, let me rephrase.
I
That's who he would be a great fit for. I asked fit, not where he's going to go. I asked for fit, yes.
Yeah. For fit, I would love to see Omarion Hampton with Arthur Smith over in Pittsburgh. I know Najee Harris probably not going to happen, but I mean, this is a guy that could come in from day one and be that bell cow for him. We'll see how that plays out. I know Najee Harris is having a better year this season. It was more up in the air probably
Harris
going
is a
into the
free
season.
agent. I think Harris is a free agent.
Yeah,
at the end of
So
the
it might be a
yeah.
better never pay a running back. So this might be
No.
more of a potential pick than we think. But at the end of the day, I think Omarion Hampton could go to 32 teams and be successful.
Yeah.
If we're talking knocks, because we gave him a lot of highlights. I think he does submarine at the line of scrimmage and short downage situations a little bit more than I'd like to where he gets his head forward a little bit too much and then easily goes down when he has the ability and the strength to just plow through that line. And then change of direction. I worry about that slightly. And then when he's not involved with the play, he looks to be disconnected at times. When he's selling a play action, if it's not his ball, he might not be all that engaged. And then there was one trick play that they ran, I think it may have been last week, where they ran a reverse and he was just standing in the middle of the field doing absolutely jack all. So that was just to preface that, I wanted to say he's not a perfect prospect. He sounded perfect the way we were talking about him earlier. But yeah, go ahead, Josh.
For me, if we're talking about what team fits him the best, it's not going to happen because your team just paid Tony Pollard a little chunk of change. But if Brian Callahan got his hands on almost his new version of Joe Mixon, that offense could be something with Tajay Spears. They're not going to do it because they got Tony and Tajay, but that would be Brian Callahan's best friend if he needed a running back in the draft.
If I ever mock a running back to the Titans in the first 3 rounds, Titans fans are like all of them are like,
I will say Titans fans are not rational. And I can say that based on experience on a weekly or almost even daily basis. We do not think inside or outside of the box. We're in a different stratosphere. And it really goes from fan to fan. We're in on Will Levis. We're in on Mason Rudolph. We're in on Brian Callahan. We're in on Mike Vrabel still. And I mean, it just goes down and down the line. We're in a bad headspace right now. Half the fans are furious that we beat the Patriots this week. And that anytime your team wins and people are angry, that tells you where we're at. So
cool. Okay, well, that concludes the 6 players we're going to cover for this episode. So Jake and Josh, stay online for a second. Thank you for the 115 plus people that are currently watching. Thank you very much. You are much appreciated.
We appreciate you guys.
Please like, follow, and subscribe, and we will be back next week, same time, same place. Thank you.
Peace.